Hello, my name's Niranjan, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast. Learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett. Today is episode number 119, and I'll be talking to Ethridge, an award-winning international dating and relationship expert with over 15 years of experience helping people become the best versions and most dateable versions of themselves. While the focus of his coaching is on making someone more dateable, the lessons translate very easily into one's personal and professional lives. The emphasis is on building confidence, leadership, image and style, conversational skills, creating chemistry, and reconnecting in fun ways. He's been lucky enough to have been featured on over 100 media outlets, with his favorites being AlleyWatch, CNN, The New York Times, Playboy, and GQ. Having been part of the founding of 5+ dating companies, he's now helping bring his expertise to reach, train, mentor, and new set of love experts on many levels of their career. Enjoy the conversation. Hello and welcome to Hunt. How are you, Hunt?
I am good. I am happy to be here. It's been a minute since you and I got to talk, so it's going to be fun.
We did. And I'm excited to have this conversation with you, especially leaning into all of your expertise and where you've been around the world in the world of dating and the world of ultimately relationship building and how that influences your life, but perhaps what you've also seen happened in other people's lives as too. So I'm curious to kind of delve into the mastery of your craft in relationship building and maybe even putting people together in relationships and what does that really look like. But I have a few really bold questions because I want to know more about you and how you get into offer and be so generous in offering your services and skill set to others to bring them together.
Sure.
So, are you ready?
I am.
All right. What do you believe about yourself, having been on a I guess a roller coaster or definitely a journey, no doubt, of self-discovery. And do you feel that defines who you are now, as in the Hunt that you are today?
Yes, simply. I am always interested in multiverse theories and butterfly effects and things like that too. And it is interesting though that if you talk to 95% of the people, you ask them what their greatest regret is in life, and then you ask them, if you could, would you go back and change it? And 95% of them say no.
No.
Because all of that, the failure of a business, the getting divorced, childhood trauma has led you to who you are at the moment. And if you like yourself, which can be challenging as well to that self-discovery, then everything that's happened since then is to bring you to this moment and make you the you that you are. So, I think it's important to learn who you are, accept who you are, your failures, your strengths, your weaknesses, because we all have them and we're all equal in that way. And then, use that to move forward and have a better future.
How do you feel that with all of that said, that's reflected on you in who you are and how you've become the man that you are in not only the business, Because we know when we are individuals, our personal life influences our professional life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how has that shifted for you?
Well, that's kind of what actually got me into this industry to begin with.
Hmm.
I was going to therapy for various and sundries like 18
Hmm.
years ago or so, as well as everybody should, especially you guys
Yeah.
out there. And the therapist said to me, the men that come in here are broken and I can fix them. But the thing that they want the most is to have a woman by their side, and I can't give them that. You know more about this than anybody I've ever met. You need to figure out a way to monetize this. And the minute that you do, I'll refer all of my patients to you. So three
Wow.
such like resounding pats on the back from a female psychotherapist,
Wow.
at least is what started me on the journey of like, well, do I know more?
Yeah.
Is it teachable? Is it an art? Is it a science? All of these questions and things. But that's what kind of got me started too, kind of to your point of like taking one's own life experiences and if not necessarily monetizing them, but figuring out how to use this skill set both for yourself and then to help others downstream as well too. So
Hmm.
that's at least what started that. And then as I kind of walked through my world, I was single at this point. I would go out, get a phone number, make out with a girl at a bar, bring her home, whatever. And then I would
Hmm.
ask myself, like, what did I actually do? What steps? Like, why did I talk
Right.
to them? What topics of conversation did we bring up? Why did we bring up those topics of conversation? Because I just kind of went with what felt
Right.
natural in the
For you.
situation,
Right.
but then kind of wanted to reverse engineer and kind of look at what we did. And
Mhm.
dating is a mix of biology, sociology, psychology, and anthropology.
Mm.
Basically, everything we do is because it's the four tenets of humanity. But
Right.
focusing on different aspects of them will help us to understand our motivations.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. So with that huge gift from your therapist of saying, I think you'd be really good at this.
Still makes me wonder what we're talking about, but yes, I still thank her for that as well too. Hmm.
What was your aha moment in that of, really? Can I actually do this? And did you make the connection to that of, is this a calling? Is this really a gift that I have? Or one of the callings, because I think we have many as we go through life. One of the callings that I want to do this, that I'll invest some time, energy, and resources to pursue this.
Yeah, that's it is nice that the a word isn't correct necessarily, but it's nice when the things that make you passionate about and that get you excited about overlap with what you can do in your professional life as well too,
Right.
because myself included, I'm sure many of us continue to work in jobs that may not be what our biggest passion is.
Hmm.
So at the beginning, of course, like anything else, it's your side hustle or trying to just do something
Right.
to add to what you already have, because it had been something, we ask ourselves like, what do I know the most about? If
Right.
someone called me and was like, let's do a TV show about your life, what thing do I know the most about that it could be about? And
Sure.
am I able to, and do I want to share that with the world? And it had been something that I had been told that I was good at and was trying to figure a way to do that in a good and positive way, because back at that time the only thing that a lot of people were familiar with was this book called The Game,
Okay.
Penetrating the Secret Society of Pickup Artists.
Oh my
So
goodness. Okay.
people really only knew about pickup artists, where
Right.
just slimy, misogynistic,
Right.
a-holes that would, like, for instance, there's something called negging, which is like to make you slightly feel off balance with your self-esteem so that it's easier
Uh-huh.
for me to
Take
take
on.
advantage of you
Right.
feeling off kilter, which is just
Wow.
repugnant.
Hmm.
But that was what was in the zeitgeist at that moment. In fact, there was a TV show on VH1 called The Mystery Method from one of these guys that would teach guys how to come in and like, let me show you a magic trick. What's your name? Oh, this means, oh, how you see the world. And it was just, I had to re-educate people that there's another way of doing it
Right.
that involves, goodness, joy, positivity, making people feel good about themselves. Because
Yeah.
ultimately, in any relationship, any healthy relationship,
Mm.
any healthy human relationship, the point is to make each other happy.
Right.
If it's a business relationship, if it's a platonic relationship, if it's a romantic relationship, we enjoy making each other happy. And so when we
Mm.
can do that in all aspects of our lives, dating is just simply one aspect, but it plays into every other aspect of it because the largest consuming drive in the human body is to stay alive.
Mhm.
Number two, procreation.
Mhm.
I'm going to add that in, lump it
Right.
with dating,
So,
relationships,
mm,
romantic, you
right.
know.
Mm.
And so you have the second largest drive in humans with literal steroids and chemicals
Mhm.
coursing through your brain, and then mixed messages on media, changing mores and unknown reasons for existing, and it can
Mm.
be challenging. It can be challenging to figure all of this out.
The tiny little word called challenging, he says. Okay, I get it. Um, that's big. That's a
But
lot.
yeah, I don't, I want to step it back a second too to not make it seem like it's insurmountable, because the thing that I had to work on as well too, because like, how do I get better at, say, dating,
Mhm.
or being the better human being? Like, it's just too
Mhm.
big. It's like what
Mhm.
do you focus on? But I've learned that if you can break things down, like any problem, into smaller parts,
Of course.
such as style, storytelling, asking questions, confidence, body language, all of these things, and then you can focus specifically on these little things and bring each of them, those skill sets, up a little bit here and a little bit there. What ends up happening is the overall umbrella of dating raises as you
Mhm.
focus on each of these individual things too. So it makes it much
Mhm.
more approachable, as opposed to just this esoteric, nebulous thing that either some people have or don't, because it's a skill
Right.
set, just
Right.
like anything else, and it can be practiced and learned, never mastered, but
Mhm.
improved upon constantly.
Mhm. So, what do you feel are the attributes that connect you to your purpose?
I love people. I think the most important, other than kindness, I think the most
Mm.
important thing to have inside is curiosity, because
Mhm.
that will open the doors to the world, whether it's
It will.
curiosity in people, curiosity in places, food, whatever it is. Those lead you to more doors and more doors and more doors. I have an intense curiosity. I also love people.
Right.
And so it's always fascinating to me to just understand them, to want to know more. And when I was single, half of people, roughly,
Mhm.
are women.
Right.
So I love women just as much as kind of like everyone else. So I would bring all of this joy to it.
Mhm.
Also, my therapist told me that I have boundary issues and that I have none.
Mm.
So I'm an oversharer, an overtruther,
Oh, okay.
which has its own challenges.
Challenges.
But in my defense, every single person in my life knows exactly where they stand with me.
Mhm.
I have no secrets from anybody.
Mhm.
And so I found that women would find it refreshing
Right.
to have an honest conversation,
Yeah.
about where everybody is, and to be with someone that is joyfully with them for whatever period that is.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. And for different reasons, if you will,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yep, across the spectrum. Any
Uh-huh.
given day is a different thing, but I always was brought up and looked at women as one of the most wonderful things on this planet. So any woman that I was with for any period of time, whether I'm just chatting, going home, one
Right.
night stand, relationship, my desire was to treat them like a queen.
Mhm.
because, I made me happy when I could make them happy.
Right, right. How do you feel that spills over in you supporting individuals and being an expert in your industry, regard despite the passion that's oozing from you in what you do and wanting to share that with others? How do you how do you put that across so it doesn't come across as your own personality? Because I find that some people are charismatic and not everybody has that trait, or some people hone different skill sets and nuances about themselves that makes them totally unique to them. So how do you shift that and have that person highlight and shine in who they are?
Yes. Welcome to the business.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
basically, I mean, that's absolutely exactly what's going on because each person is unique.
Right.
Um, and I tell them specifically, my goal is not to turn you into me. My goal is not to turn you into James Bond or Elizabeth Taylor or whomever you are looking up to. My goal is
Uh-huh.
to find out who you are
Yes.
and be able to bring that out and shine
Right.
that up to be out there and present to the world.
Yes.
And 100%, I do think that, well, I'm not going to throw shade at anybody. I do think that a lot of people think, believe that their own life experiences mirror everybody else's life experiences.
Right.
And they give advice from those experiences that can sometimes be tone deaf or just like wrong or
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
difficult to implement, or things
Mm-hmm.
like that as well too. So that was also my, I don't want to say struggle, but my learning process also as well is how do you make something that's so unique yet common,
Mm-hmm.
um, standardized yet personal. And
Okay.
so basically, it's more of like a framework of how to become a better person
Mm-hmm.
in general, like the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of it is just how to be a better human being. The 20% of it is whether you want to use those skills for sales or whether you want to use those skills for dating or making friends or what have you as well.
Right.
And over the years, because I have talked to just so many thousands of people in person and through my articles and videos and things like that, it's helped me to not just come from my own personal experiences, but have this huge data set as well too. I'm a study junkie, so like I love science, and these are like just some of the recent
Mm.
studies that I'm reading and stuff like
Sure.
that too. So I want to make sure that I am up and knowledgeable on everything
Of course.
that is going on as well too.
Sure.
Um, so, and then, yeah, try to make it personal to each person, but do it in a way that, not that I can control for, because you can't control for everything, but in a way that I think is going to give them the most amount of value. And so
Right.
I've had 15 plus years to be able to kind of figure out how
Yep.
to uh, put that out, whether it's, 1 hour, 6 months, or what have you, to
Mm-hmm.
hopefully be able to turn them into the best version of themselves. And even my tagline is changing the world one smile at a time, because I believe that's
Mm.
what I'm doing and that's what's important.
I love that. I love that. Very good. Very good. So, what has you've been doing this for 15 years, from the early innovator stage, I guess, at the
Hmm.
beginning, all the way doing that wonderful cycle, ebbs and flows in any life cycle of a business, be it a service or a product.
Yeah.
What have you seen shift and what have you seen that's changed to date over the last 5 years or so? Granted, COVID probably had a huge influence on that, but just in the humanity and the human nature and people's desire and maybe the way that they are thinking based on the researches that are out there, the content, the
Hmm.
science and the data that's supporting people's behavior. What have you seen that's been the biggest shift that you go, well, I didn't think that was going to happen?
People don't know how to meet each other organically anymore.
Mhm.
That is a large statement that is obviously
Of
false,
course.
because all, never, always, these are
Mm.
words that shouldn't be used. But
Right.
to oversimplify and overgeneralize, I've been thinking a lot about this particular thing recently too, and a good point of that, a lot of our interactions when we were younger um, came due to being inconvenienced. If
Mm.
you wanted to see a movie, you had to physically go to the movies or go to the rental store. So you either had to have a car or call your friend that had a car. So then you guys would be out. Then you'd go into the store. Then you'd see your friend, and you'd
Yes.
be like, dude, and or if you were hungry,
Yes.
you had to go to the store to get food.
Right.
One of my favorites, to show my age, getting lost.
Yes.
You had to pull, well, first of all, nobody gets lost anymore. It's not possible, really. But you
That's
had to
right.
pull into a gas station, a store that you've never been to,
Yeah.
walk up to a person that you've never met, admit that you're at fault, and
Right.
ask them for help,
Yes.
and then remember what they said.
Yeah.
And I think now, and I don't want to go back to being inconvenienced, but everything now can be so convenient and get that our social interactions are severely
Yes.
limited. And
Yeah.
while we have all of this added convenience, we haven't added anything over here to make up for it in the human interaction side. And there's
Hmm.
also something called a third space, which has seen a large decline. A third space is somewhere that's not home and not work that you spend a lot of time,
Hmm.
aka union halls, Rotary clubs, village greens, dance halls, churches, things like that as well. And
Hmm.
attendance in all of these are going down. So
Right.
again, we don't have these ways that we're just naturally, bumping off of people.
Hmm.
Everything is moving more and more and more towards digital. And when I started doing this at the beginning, so long ago, online dating was considered taboo.
Right.
It was the bottom of the barrel. You were just an ape that couldn't find love anywhere else. So you had to resort to going online. And if you got to me, I was your last ditch effort in finding love. I was happy to help these gentlemen, but there was definitely, late 30s, early 40s, a lot of social skills missing, just but a real
Mm.
desire to not want to be this way.
Hmm.
But as obviously things are a lot different in how we view dating digitally right now too, so to
Hmm.
be along on that trend as well too, and watch the shifts and changes, and the paralysis of choice now suddenly coming in, or what the definition of success is. Just so I would have, like, say, pre-dating online, I'd have a client that would meet um four go out and talk to four women. It didn't go the way he wanted it to. He talked to the fifth one. It would. He'd get a phone number, they date or whatever. Win ratio is 20%. Great.
Hmm.
But he had to walk through four pain points to get there.
Hmm.
What I found is that guys would rather go home and send 100 emails, get one positive response for a win ratio of 1%,
Hmm.
but they don't have to walk through any pain points.
Right.
And I say pain because it's only how we view the situation.
Right.
We bring it on to ourselves. But it was fascinating to me that they would just find that a better use of their time.
Mm.
And then I would have guys that say went on three first dates a month and get one second date.
Mm.
So, all right, cool. 33% to get to the next date. Then when it became so easy to find people online, they would have 25 first dates in a month and one second date.
Right.
So their ratio plummeted,
Yeah.
but they feel successful
Right.
because they are dating.
Yes.
Even though it's not going anywhere, they are happy because they are on dates.
Right.
So, and then, now we have the swipe,
Yeah.
and, how that changed everything. And yes,
Mm.
and then we get to COVID. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
that just exacerbated and brought to light everything that was already happening, and just kicked it into high gear. And now we've got so many people working from home, that if you don't want, you don't have to see anybody
That's right.
ever,
Yes.
which is fine if that's your choice.
Yeah.
But if you want something different, you have to consciously do something different. And that, I think, people are trying, one, don't know how to do, just how to even go about doing it. Here, like, where do I find people? Like, I know, I get it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and two, all of our social muscles have atrophied during
That's
this
right.
time as well. It's a,
Yeah.
pardon my French, and you can bleep this, but it's a bit of a clusterfuck out there.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that with those ratios you talked about, even though there are successful first dates, but not second. So my curiosity goes to a space of, if they're happy with all those first dates, is it really just the craving of human interaction? Good,
100%.
good, bad, or ugly, but it's an interaction and it's engagement, and I'm the focus of an attention, and it's an active dialogue conversation. Is that where?
Men are in a state of decline right now. Not like men are dying out, but every suicides are up, jobs are down, education is down, salaries are down. Everything about men currently is on a downward trend.
Hmm,
Just as a quick example, before, and this is in no way, shape, or form and I say anything on how this is the fault of anyone. This is, if
right,
anyone is the fault of the patriarchy that we set up, we set it up wrong. Women have
right,
made amazing strides, and they should be celebrated for it, and could continue
right.
to make that. It's just that sometimes we forgot to look backwards sometimes and see what was happening
Hmm.
behind us during all of this.
Hmm.
So yes, you have men that haven't heard a word of kindness said to them in
Hmm.
months.
Hmm.
And when a normal human woman walks past them and says hi,
Hmm.
it is the nicest thing that they've heard in weeks. So the
Right,
brain latches onto that and
of
wants,
course.
hi, how are you? Naturally, you go towards something that you find pleasurable.
Hmm.
Because men are starved. Ask any of your male friends when the last time
Hmm.
they got a hug was, or a compliment,
Hmm.
and you will
Hmm.
cry.
Yeah.
And so, yes, some of that is just a genuine, like I said, the third spaces are on decline. So a lot of men don't know where to go to find any sort of human interaction. And a failed date is better than sitting at home fapping. So, that is 100% part of a larger thing. But then I have, on the opposite side of this, a whole bunch of women that don't understand why they can't get second dates.
Right.
That are just so confused
Hmm.
that they don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
And so that's always what's been interesting too, when I coach men, when I coach women, hearing all of these different ways the other one sees the other one too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and trying to get people to see themselves. But, oh yeah, what I wanted to say is, previous to Title IX, and like I say, the 1970s, the ratio of men and women in college was like 33% women,
Hmm.
and like 66% men.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
it's the discrepancy is larger on
Yeah.
the other side, and it's just not good for anybody. Like,
Right.
that much separation is not good for anybody. So
Hmm.
enable to, the way I also look at it too, in order to help women, in order to help them get into better relationships, we need to focus on men so that they can be great additions to this relation, and then a heteronormative relationship to be a good
Right.
addition to this relationship, and not necessarily need the woman for all their emotional support and regulation
Hmm.
and things
Hmm.
like that as well too. We as men have to help each other, and yeah, it's
Right.
it's a bit of a crisis right now. So and then, nature abhors a vacuum, and when you have men unsure of what the right way to act is, and you have a bunch of BS people like Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan and Trump, saying this is how to be a man,
Mhm.
if you have nothing else to listen to,
That's the
I
narrative.
can understand the draw. So how do you counter that?
Yeah.
How do you and also, like, bad news always beats good news. It's just the
Yeah.
way everything is in this media cycles, even the way our brain is wired. Like, so it's an uphill challenge, to try
Hmm.
to work on it, but we gotta work on it.
It's a work in progress, like
It's a
anything,
work in
and every
progress.
single person. It's when we gain insight and we gain knowledge about something, it's up to us to understand it, integrate it, and really act upon it. So that's
Mhm.
our duty, that's our role in what we do and what we bring to the table as human beings, regardless of what gender you want to call yourself.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, in many of the spaces and environments and people that you've worked with, because you've worked with some pretty high profile people, you've been in some pretty interesting spaces and places. How is their behavior and their challenge, if you will, different to the average guy who just wants to find a gal and get married and have kids?
Very, very different experiences. Yeah, I mean, one of the things, again, I love about dating is what you personally, you individual, have
Hmm.
experienced. No other individual has ever experienced exactly what
Absolutely.
you have. So it feels
Right.
perfectly individualistic. And yet, every single person that has ever existed has
Yes.
gone through what you're going through. So
Yes.
at the same time, it's this hugely communal experience as well,
Yes.
too. And so kind of like marrying the two of them creates it's fun. Now, repeat the question again, because I can get
That's
tangentially.
okay. That's okay. The question is, the high profile
Oh,
individuals
right,
that
right. What is the different
you've
about
had,
them?
what's the
So
difference?
right, so you have
Uh-huh.
the challenges are different, but the underlying fear of no one likes me or I just want to be loved is all the same. But
Right.
one of the things that I have found, one, for instance, a lot of people in the New York area that are wealthy are in finance and or tech, to
Uh-huh.
summarize a lot. And again, to overgeneralize, a lot of tech bros maybe weren't learning how to be the suavest dancers or have the best party lines and stuff while they were studying. So
Yes.
their knowledge of social situations in general may
Yes.
not be as practiced or evolved as a whole bunch of people. And I'm being very generous here.
Of course. Of
Um,
course.
Secondly, they say face a set of challenges that we don't, and that does this person like me for who I am or what
Hmm.
they can get out of me? And I know that's,
Hmm.
we all face that on some levels,
Hmm. Hmm.
but not to this level. Every single person that talks to them may want a piece of what they have.
Sure.
And so I don't have enough emotional intelligence as this person to know the right questions to ask
Hmm.
or actions to look for
Hmm.
that's going to help me identify whether this person does in fact care for me
Right.
or only in fact cares for money. And so
Right.
that's kind of a conversation that you need to have so that you can protect that. So that person can protect themselves,
Hmm. Hmm.
and while I'm not going to cry billionaires rivers, it's still their challenges. It's still the biggest pain point in their life that they would
Yes.
rather not be there.
Yes.
So, and sometimes it's hard for them because if they try to just date someone, then they don't know if that person's going to blab to the media or something like that too. And sometimes it's easier to have discreet encounters because the old adage is like, I don't pay someone to have sex with me, I pay them to go away,
Right.
because then it's less danger for them
Hmm.
financially or PR
Hmm.
wise. So again, not saying, oh, poor is me, but it's definitely a set of challenges that is daunting to
Hmm.
be able to navigate successfully, especially when you're in a place where other people may be doing things around you that are not great influences, or
Right.
normalizing bad behavior.
No, yes. Yes. And has that amplified? Has bad behavior normalizing, and even to the point of being transparent of thank you, but no thank you, even has become normalized of just not even responding and letting it go. And like the social circle, the social etiquettes
The social contracts.
have been lost, I think, over the last, I don't know whether it is because of these devices, these instantaneous devices that we have brought that into play and amplified all of that. Because I wouldn't, and I don't imagine many people would, but I'm not assuming, walk into a restaurant, have a meal, and not say thank you and walk out.
I this morning went outside and somebody apparently had a full meal in their car and then just took all of the trash and threw it out their window onto my yard. So I would love the world that you describe. I would love it,
Oh my goodness.
but that's not the world we live in.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because also that involves self-reflection.
It does. Mm-hmm.
And most people don't want to open the dark doors in their head. That's one thing I'm happy of for therapy and many other things that we can talk about further on the line down sometime. But I know myself.
Yeah.
I don't like it all, but
Right.
I'm okay with it all, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with sharing it all,
Sure.
basically. And that's this sound woo. It's the only way to self-actualization is to understand who you are.
Absolutely.
Once you understand who you are, you understand what your value system is, then you can project those values to the world. And that is how you attract somebody else that also shares those value systems.
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
you, one, don't know what your value system is, it's going to be hard to find someone that matches that. And two, we as humans get caught up on interests, common interests, not so much common values. So
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you like the same music or the same video games is going to mean nothing
Right.
in the grand scheme of things. But your relationship with money, your relationship with those around you, those are going to be
Right.
indicative of everything that happens, down the way. And I think
Yeah.
that again with the digital stuff is that we've forgotten how to get deeper.
Yeah.
So you just see the if I look on Instagram, I'm not necessarily going to see what your value system are. I'm going to see what your
Mm-hmm.
interests are, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool because that's what
Mm-hmm.
it's for, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But that's what we have to go on at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and so and I keep using the word challenges because I don't want to use the word problems because this
Right.
not. It's just a tool, like a tool. A hammer is not a problem. How you use the hammer can be a
That's
problem.
right. Very good. Yeah.
So that's just I want to that's why I keep using the word challenges too, because there's just
Yeah.
something that we need to learn how to adapt and overcome.
Yeah. Well, you use challenges. In my world, I use it as a gift, and people look at me sideways and upside down of this big boulder is in front of me, and you choose telling me it's a gift.
Oh yeah. Well, you can grow from it too. And a nice
Mm-hmm.
phrase that I remember and use when it's appropriate too is pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
It
So
is
how
too.
you want to approach any situation, someone once told me that there's a pro list and a con list to everything that happens in life.
Absolutely.
It's our choice which side to look at.
That's right.
And that can be insufferable to some people. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but that rock, we could create a whole landscape vignette around that and like start charging admission for it. Like we could do something with this because that's some agate if I'm looking at that correctly.
Yeah.
And people, what are you talking about? My wife
Yeah.
and I joke that we could be happy and have fun in a brown paper bag in the corner of an empty room.
Mm,
I would just play like kick the bag or something like that. But that's also a skill,
that's right. That's
learning
right.
how to do that. And I think that I've been watching a lot on, friendship recessions and loneliness and stuff recently too. And
Yes.
the thing about social media, not necessarily social media, but the phone, which all of
Mm-hmm.
us, myself included, are guilty of, is just that we don't spend enough time with ourselves anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I was on a car ride, I was just looking out the window watching my other self do parkour alongside running along boat with my thoughts running.
Mm-hmm.
And now if we find ourselves without stimuli sometime, then we just bring the phone in. And so we don't have introspective time.
Right.
We don't have painful thoughts because we want to move away from them
Yeah.
as opposed to sit in them and understand them so that you
Yeah,
can move through them as opposed
that's
to
right.
just
Yeah,
putting them away.
that's right. Yeah. So we've covered a lot of ground to a certain degree, and I know there's way more to cover, and I would love to delve into that further in what people's desires are, what the skill sets are, and what the attributes are everybody has, whether they choose to highlight them or not, or diminish them and put them in the closet, to your skill set and your calling of wanting to support and empower people to have more enriching lives and relationships and live how they truly desire to live, be it the little pipe dream that they have in their head, or be
Mm-hmm.
it something that they're really craving from their heart. Is there a bigger intention that you have that you would like for your work and for the people listening to receive, other than the
Mm-hmm.
smile, the one smile at a time slogan that you have harnessed? What else is there that you would like to intend
Absolutely.
for
The
your craft?
simplest thing that I help my clients focus on at the beginning, one, there's a knowledge of what's going on out there, but that's large, and that
Hmm.
takes some
Hmm.
time to understand. But simple things that you yourself right now, after getting off this call with me, can do. That's also something I wanted to learn how to give people. So
Hmm.
it's not like they get off and have a new worldview. That's great, but I also want them to be able to like immediately be able to practice something.
Right.
And that thing is asking positive emotional questions. That's it.
Hmm.
But now let me simplify it because what do you do? Where are you from?
Right.
Do you have family? Are these logical or emotional questions?
Very logical,
Very logical.
absolutely.
Is a
Yeah.
relationship logical or emotional?
Emotional.
Emotional. So here we
Uh-huh.
are, Einstein's definition of insanity, lobbing logical
Yes.
questions back and forth to each other and expecting an emotional result. And that is not
Right.
setting ourselves up for a
Right.
good time. So instead of saying, like, where are you from? You could ask a question like, what's one of your favorite childhood memories? Oh, so I grew up near Buffalo and my and a house on Lake Erie and da 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 da. What you've done there's four important things. One,
Yeah.
you've found out your general information, but the next are
Yes.
more important. In order to answer your question, they have to think of a happy time. If they
Yes.
think of a happy time, they feel happy.
Right.
And then ultimately, feelings of happiness and feelings of you start to intertwine.
Right.
And so, like we do with our friends and family,
Yeah.
when you're around people that make you feel good, sometimes in order to feel good about yourself, you want to be around those people. There's days
That's
that we all
right.
feel down and you call one of
Sure.
your good friends, they help bring you up. Like I
Hmm.
said, and in good, healthy human relationships, the point is to make each other happy. And when
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
figure out how to do that without sacrificing your own happiness,
Hmm.
then we get into the good stuff. And when you ask positive emotional questions, you're not blowing smoke up someone's ass. You're not giving them false things. You're simply giving them access to their own positive memories.
Mm.
And most people, have you yourself, you had wonderful and amazing things happen to you in your life?
Absolutely. Yes.
Does anyone ask you about them?
Sometimes.
Luckier than most. But when we can ask, instead of, do you have family?
Hmm.
What was your favorite Christmas?
Hmm. Hmm.
Instead
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
saying like, what do you do for work? Like, when was the
Right.
last time your boss praised you? What's your best moment of
Right.
Q2? Oh, ooh. And then immediately you'll see a difference in how people respond to you.
Absolutely.
And when you can access their emotions so powerfully and often, that's what chemistry is.
Right.
And so we can't create chemistry out of nothing, but we can definitely set the stage for chemistry to find us.
Hmm. I think that the beautiful examples, and thank you for sharing that, Hunt. I believe those are possibly even just really good questions and a good perspective to have in any relationship, even on a friendship relationship,
Hmm.
even broken family relationships that you're looking to rebuild, or whomever you choose to have in your life, or bring back, or create space for to bring in to better yourself. I think those are really valuable questions. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. I'm glad that I was able to.
Hmm. So what's next? You've done a lot. You've been through. Um, I'd love to listen to a whole bunch of stories without you divulging the details of the individuals, how people tackle things, and maybe some challenges. Excuse me, some challenges that they have in how to get through whatever obstacle and challenge they have in front of them to get to what they want. But what's next? What's next for you?
I want to help the most people possible, which is always the way. So how does one go about doing that?
Hmm.
And so I do consulting for some online dating sites where I help them with their language and their questions and how to help, people match. I am currently working with one of the ladies that was on the TV show Indian Matchmaking, and we
Mm,
are working on creating a set of instructional videos for South Asian men to help understand the what dating is and how to go
wow.
about it. And I also have a business partner in Dubai, and we are doing business and matchmaking in the Middle East, and look forward to kind of expanding it there in a location that is unique in its views on relationships. And how do you
Very.
marry, pardon the expression, pardon the pun, how do you marry those two ideas, the old and the new, together in ways that create the least amount of conflict possible? So it's
Yeah.
fascinating to me to learn all of these dating cultures in different places, and how to best approach
Hmm.
people to also understand to be heard. Because I
Right.
understand I look a certain way and I sound a certain way. And if I get up on a soapbox and start just preaching like I know WTF is going on in their life, it's going to shut
Uh-huh.
people down.
Of
But I
course.
understand human beings,
Yes.
and I understand the desire to want to better yourself and avoid the pain points. And I think if
Hmm.
we can all get together and kind of work from that direction, it's going
Hmm.
to help everybody.
Yeah. This is exciting. I'm excited for you, Hunt.
Thank
Tapping
you.
into the space of different cultures and different nuances. And we didn't even touch on arranged marriages. Oh my gosh.
Uh huh. Uh
That's
huh.
going to be, and that's many cultures, mine and the peripheral. There's
Hmm.
many, be it
And the views on it are shifting back,
exceptional. Yes,
because people are seeing what's out there on the other side of it, and they're like, yeah, maybe they had something over here.
that's
So
right.
it'll be fascinating to see what happens in the future.
It will. It will. And even to a certain degree, the the perspective of young professionals who say, I don't have time to do that. So people in my community, in my network, you do the work because you know me. So you go find me somebody.
And
I
that's why
s-
matchmaking is booming right now too, because there's so
right.
much digital. People have lost the human touch, and they're also busy. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just
Yeah.
outsource this. Help me
Exactly.
with this. It's like, be happy
Exactly.
to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. And that's something you support people with.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Excellent.
we just hope to be a resource. And for anybody listening, there are a ton of resources out there of varying sizes, levels,
Hmm.
locations, prices, but there's a lot of resources. So if you want to change your
Hmm.
status in this year, there are a lot of ways that people can help you along that process.
People
So I
can do that.
encourage you to kind of look around, see what
Yeah,
exists, and hopefully you can find someone, and the two of you can create a wonderful journey.
absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing your
Absolutely.
wisdom, your stories, and your passion, which is oozing out of the other side of the screen. So I appreciate you doing that. And maybe there'll be a part two because my curiosity is tipping over into that whole cultural space because I
Oh yeah.
see the dynamics of it on my end in terms of the work that I do with supporting individuals. Um, yeah. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Until
Gosh,
the next time.
thanks you again. I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review. and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.